Many instructors ask themselves, how much can I cover today? And if they cover a lot, they think they did a good job. Really, they should be asking, what can students carry away effectively after today? And then if they thought about it that way, they would do much less. And that's a good thing, because there are really only 6 or 7 big ideas in economics that do most of the work in explaining what we can explain. And if we would just teach those 6 or 7 ideas, students could learn them very well in one semester. Students who are given tests that probe their knowledge of basic economic principles 6 months after they finish the course don't score any better on those tests than students who never took the course at all. It's really quite an astonishingly ineffective performance, you have to say, from the first-year economics course. And Ben Bernanke and I have written a textbook for that course in which it's our view that the main source of the problem is that we try to teach students far too much. Literally hundreds of concepts, they all go by in a blur. So it's no wonder that after 6 months, nobody remembers anything. The shame is that we could do better, since there are really only 6 or 7 big ideas that do most of the work in economics. It's our view that if you would use examples that illustrate those ideas repeatedly, find different contexts in which they apply, and just have students exposed to them over and over and over again during the course of a single course, it's really possible for them to master the ideas. And the subject of my talk is really about one of the devices that has proven very effective in getting students to really internalize the ideas. And that's what we call the economic naturalist writing assignment. And so the basic idea is that students have to observe the world around them, find something that puzzles them, and then, as the title of their paper, pose an interesting question, something they wonder about from personal experience or observation. And then the assignment is to try to answer that question in no more than 500 words using basic economic principles. And it's not so easy to come up with an interesting question the first time you do it. Typically students will come to me and say, oh, is this question okay? And often it's not very interesting, and I'll say, well, you have 3 or 4 more days, keep thinking, maybe you'll come up with a better one. But then by the end of the term, they have to write 2 of these papers. The far more common question I'll get from them is, can I do a medley? I've got 3 great questions, can I write about all of them? Of course you can, but no more than 500 words. And so there have been some wonderful examples that they've submitted over the years. I've collected those into a book called The Economic Naturalist. And one was posed by Greg Ballot. He wanted to know, why is it that the regulations require you to put your 2-year-old in a approved safety seat when you drive 2 blocks to the grocery store, yet regulations permit you to have your 2-year-old sit loose on your lap when you fly from Amsterdam to New York. It's much more dangerous to fly with your 2-year-old loose on your lap from Amsterdam to New York than to have him sit loose in a seat in the car. Why do they require it in one case and not the other? His answer was a very simple application of the very most basic economic principle of all, which is, you should do an action if the benefit exceeds the cost. It sounds very simple. Nobody would say that's stupid. But to apply the principle intelligently often isn't so easy. And so he said it's not because the benefits are so much higher of being strapped in a car. That can't be the reason we have the regulation there. The real explanation must lie in the comparison of costs. And sure enough, if you think about it, the cost of strapping your baby into a seat in your back seat of your car is 0. You already have the seat back there, you just put him in. If you're on a full flight from Amsterdam to New York, you have to buy an extra ticket. That could be 1,000 euros. And so you don't want to actually say explicitly, we're going to take our chances, kid. I'll hold on tight to you and hope for the best. But rather than spend 1,000 euros, that's what we do. We can't require that you strap your kid in because parents would complain too much. It's too expensive to buy the extra seat. And by doing those exercises, I think that's the real source of long-term learning for the students. If you can apply the idea and recognize it when it occurs in a natural setting, then it's really your idea. It's not something you need to remember. It's part of how you think about the world.